I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Bay-Westfield on Monday, September 25th, 2023 to order at 7 o'clock p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Woolstonway land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Wolastoq, along which live Wolastoqey, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders, past and present, and descendants of this land. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone that's joined us here this evening. With Hurricane Lee firmly in the rearview mirror, thankfully, thanks are due to some folks here in the town and around the community. Thank you so very much to the first responders who worked to keep us safe during the storm. A huge thanks goes to our incredibly dedicated EMO, who had a long few days keeping on top of the situation, keeping us informed as mayor and council, and all of us as residents. Also like to thank our communications manager for being on top of that as well. Thank you to our firefighters who responded to quite a few calls during the storm, as well as the people in our works department who were responding as quickly as possible to keep roads and our neighborhood safe for all of us in some pretty wild weather. Thankfully not as bad as we were expecting, but it was still quite a blow. Thank you to all our local businesses who were there to fill our needs, especially for those residents who lost power. From coffee to sump pumps, you were there to help. And special thanks to everyone who were there for our neighbors, opening their homes, offering shelter, safety, and company to those who may have needed it. We live in a very special community, and events like this, where we all come together, continue to prove it. If you haven't already signed up for Code Red, our emergency alert system, I strongly encourage you to do so. So go to our website at www.grandbaywestfield.ca to sign up. If you have trouble, you can call the office and they can assist you. Hurricane Lee may not be the last hurricane of the season, and it is important to be prepared. Also of note, this coming weekend will mark National Truth and Reconciliation Day. September 30th is an opportunity for us to honor the experiences of Indigenous people who were impacted by the residential school system and to commit to reconciliation efforts. It is also a day to celebrate the resilience and the strength of Indigenous people and their cultures. The day is a reminder that we all have a role to play in building a more just and equitable society. We have to be intentional because these things don't just happen on their own. Thank you. Item 4, record of attendance. We have regrets from Councillor McIntosh Lawrence and Councillor Day. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of September 25th, 2023 as presented. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Bellman. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councillor Dawson. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest.
I do, number 9.
9A?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Bellens. Item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, petitions. 7A, we have with us here this evening Heather Connell and Lee Penny with Fresh Start Services and the Human Development Council. And I'm pleased to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us here this evening. I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
So the document that's coming around is a short overview of everything that Fresh Start Services does. So my name is Heather Call, and I am the Intake and Access Coordinator for the by names list for St. John and all the surrounding areas. So if you're not familiar, the by names list is for anyone who's homeless. And as of this morning, there's 219 people active on that list. So there's been an increased uptick in people from surrounding areas of the major cities coming in. So we met with the Sussex Town Council last month because they had reached out. They have a homeless population and they're already starting to look at options to mitigate that because they've talked to developers and are looking at incorporating not just affordable units in their apartment complexes, but low-income units as well. So we're meeting with all the other town councils to, one, give you our information so that you're aware of the drastic increase in homelessness from a vast many reasons, but a lot of them have been seniors lately that we're noticing getting hospitalized and then landing in St. John because there's not the resources in the surrounding areas, or people that have been hospitalized due to medical conditions and they're no longer able to sleep rough. So a lot of people have been sleeping rough for a significant period of time, and that was fine until they end up with kidney failure or heart failure or amputation due to diabetes and things like that. So we wanted to give you our information. I'm with Fresh Start Services, and this is Lee with the Human Development Council. So Grand Bay actually falls under the by names list for St. John since you're in proximity. So if you do have homeless populations or tents popping up, we can add them to our list, unlike Sussex or like Hampton or further down into Charlotte County. Like down that way is too far, but you guys happen to fall under our realm of that. So we also wanted to find out from you all if there has been an issue or if you noticed any popping up or reaching out for any support from the community in regards to housing concerns. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Does anybody have any questions?
Council, do you have any questions for?
Do you have anything you have?
Well, no, I mean, I was just wondering, given the uptick, I mean, really across the whole country, if any of your constituents or if any of you have been directly contacted about the issue, because there is that going on in St. John right now. So we do just want to make this connection to make sure that if this issue pops up for you, that you have somebody to contact.
Councillor Burpee, you had a question?
I did, thank you. So in regards to the people who are living rough, how do you visit them? Does somebody go out and actually kind of give them information about what you do? And
Yes, so at least one entire day of my specific schedule a week is dedicated to outreach and going to either existing tent sites where new people are showing up, or if the city of St. John or Sussex or somebody else contacts me and says, we've noticed tents showing up here, or a lean-to or something like that, are you aware of this location? If I'm not, I will go out. So a lot of the existing locations, people will try to stay put if they're safe there or if they're in a group. But I go and check on them for like wellness check purposes, see what they need, why they've become homeless, and then I do all the steps to get them on the by names list. So at least one day a week that's all I do.
so if we learned of, somebody in that situation, we could just maybe contact you.
You can call me, you can text me, you can email me, everything is on my business card that went around. Yeah, and I will get there.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me, it's easier if you give me like a GPS coordinate or like an actual location, because I've been wandering around Rockwood Park quite a bit and it's a little difficult. So if you like drop a pin and screenshot me like the actual GPS coordinates of where you're at, I will go to them. I'll put hiking boots on and I will go to wherever it is. Yeah, and then make sure not only do like safety checks, but get them connected with the organizations, because some people, if they're Indigenous, that is a prioritization. If they're pregnant, because there's a significant amount of homeless pregnant persons right now, there's certain things that will get them hopefully housed a little more expeditiously. And then there's also other organizations that we can connect them with that would help with that.
Okay, good to know.
Okay.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
You know, and my interest in being here as somebody from the HGC is, you know, firstly, we look at homelessness from a provincial perspective, even though we're housed in St. John, so like anything going on anywhere in New Brunswick would be relevant to us, but it's also, like, we're interested in coming here because people tend to go to urban centers to get services, even if that's not necessarily where they want to be or like where their family connections are. So if we have the line of communication between us, it's easier to serve those clients and get them the services they need. You know, nobody should be left behind just because they happen to be like in a particular location.
And if you can get a person housed in their existing community, they do way better than having to start over completely fresh and all alone.
So Heather, I have a question about the Hearthstone Prevention Program.
Yeah.
Is that a program that would be available to people at risk that are outside of the city centre?
So I have to double check that one, because that's not an HDC one, that's specific to Fresh Start. So we have 2 team members that will try and prevent people from having an eviction as long as it's not too late. And I will get back to you with that detail. Because it's not my department, but they're in my company, so I'll find out.
Okay, and is that like a remote type program, or is it something that you work individually with the people that are at risk? How does that
So
work?
it all depends on what that individual needs. So like if someone is already connected to adult protection, that Kristen and Emily will work with adult protection. They'll work with different organizations for human rights aspects. If it's someone who has disabilities, they will go into the home, and then they also advocate directly to landlords if there is a problem. Like right now, there's been some issues with unauthorized evictions, and the prevention and diversion team has been able to prevent the evictions from happening because they've been out in province landlords who weren't aware of the legislation in the province that doesn't allow for evictions and doesn't allow for evictions of disabled persons without specific guidelines. So they will literally go into the homes and meet with all the other agencies and do everything they can to prevent an eviction from happening. I just don't know how far they come out. Like the by names list is a little bit different because it's provincial, so I come out, but I'm not sure how far they go out.
Council, any further questions? If someone that's watching or someone that has an interest or wants more information, what is the best way for them? Is it website, is it phone?
It's phone or email.
Phone or email?
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with if you put it on your website, like that's fine with me, like my card or my email, that's fine. You can put that up there, because becoming homeless still has a lot of stigmatization and shame associated with it. So I think the fewer contacts a person has to make in that level of crisis, the better. So I have no problem with my information being shared.
There's also more like general resources on the Human Development Council website. We have like info and outflow dashboards for like each of the communities. So if people are interested in what kind of data we're collecting and what kind of information we have, they can go to the HGC website. You can find all sorts of things there too.
Yeah, I know HTC has some really great data on their website, so.
Okay, oh, you've been already. Wonderful.
Yes, I know Randy, so he's made sure.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay, do we have any further questions? I just want to thank you for the excellent work you're doing, and thank you for coming and expanding the awareness of the services that you offer, and the fact that a lot of people might not even know that there is such a thing as a by names list
Yes.
of people living rough in the community.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a really individualized approach. It's not just, we have X number of people, that are homeless. These are their names, this is who they are, so.
Yeah,
It's
right, well, and it's trying to eliminate decriminalization of poverty, which is happening, so. Thank you for your time, and we appreciate it, and honestly, if you have any other questions or something comes up later, by all means, shoot me an email or give me a ring. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The motions that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield receive and file the information presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Bellman. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 7B, River Valley Community Center 2024 budget allocation request, and we have John Weber and Alex Clark with us here today. Welcome to both of you. You guys have been busy.
Good evening, yes. Your worship and council and other folks, staff. Yeah, doing a little different this year. Usually I'm up here the one doing all the acting, so I want to introduce first of all our new general manager, Alex Clark. Alex came on board the 1st of June, and he is filling the shoes of Kelly Goddard, who was our first and only general manager. So Alex is being tested already. So what we're going to do is Alex is going to give you a blurb on 2023 operations and programs, just generally lead into the budget, and then he will finish up with a little bit on the what we're looking like going forward.
Thank you, John. And welcome, Alex, and congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so like John said, we're going to quickly go through the 2022-2023 review. So a lot of what we've gone through at the River Valley Community Center, I wasn't here to be a part of, but a lot I was. In 2022-2023, we were able to host the East Coast Games lacrosse portion, where we saw the Funny regional teams capture multiple gold medals. It was pretty awesome. That's my U13 team right there, the picture. We also had the champions of the Southern Senior League, the Rock, which drove hundreds of spectators to the River Valley Community Center. We did also host the Pro Kids Ball Hockey fundraiser. That was a last-minute collaboration opportunity that we came across in June. It was great to be a part of, raise funds for a really great cause that helps our community. We also hosted the 2023 Canada Day celebration, something that we hope to continue to do in the future in collaboration with the town. We had another successful summer program. 357 kids came through the doors this year. We did have the River Valley Middle School Fun Day in our facility as well. We were kind of a rain location, though they did end up using it for Nerf tag, which was tempting to go down and join through. And a big shout out to the Boys and Girls Club, the RVYC, who hosted a multitude of events. We were more just kind of the backbone for them. The great work from Hannah Gibson, and we're just there to support, innovate, and continue to grow with them for the next year and beyond. Now I'll let John take a little bit of the financial outlook for 2023-2024, and then I'll come back for the operational side.
And this is all due to Alex. My technology skills are rudimentary, so the book is due to his efforts. So the you've got the highlights, but in the information that you have, you've got the normal detail of the budget, the revenues, and expenses. So the short story for the town is we're requesting $120,000. It's a $9,000 increase, which is more than the normal $3,000 to $5,000 we might be looking for. One issue that we hit the last minute was the cooling tower registry and provincial requirements, which Alex priced out, and it's at a cost of $8,500 per year for the equipment, for the testing. That's a 3-year amount, and then subsequent to that, you have the equipment paid for, but it's still roughly almost a $7,000 a year expense item that was, it's something that the requirements came in 2022. We weren't aware of it, so the issue of cooling towers is it's Legionnaire's disease if you're not up to snuff, so that's not something we can ignore or put off any further. Our ice rentals, we're expecting to be similar. We're not sure. Putting ice in September is becoming an issue. We had a bit of a hard time this year because it's 27, 28 degrees out, and we're trying to put it nice, so we may be a week later. But we're looking at our rates going up about $7 an hour for both adult and youth. The rates get adjusted every year, so we go part year on the old rates, part year on the new rates. We're guessing at 28,000 from Green Mountain. They've supported us significantly in the past, always for specific maintenance items that we have to go to them for. Programming, so programming is becoming, as Alex alluded to there, so the summer program, we've got basketball, pickleball, ball hockey. We had over 250 kids this year.
Rough, yeah.
Ball hockey, so that runs as soon as the ice goes out to early July. Our tenants are the Urban Dance and Blossoms, so they've been in there for a period of time, excellent tenants. And we are trusting that COVID's not going to impact us any, so we hope our canteen is going to be fully operational in 2024. The main main expenses are the our wages. We are trying to get our staff up to a decent wage. We have made significant improvements in the wages over the last 2 years and hope to do so again in 2024. The maintenance and supplies, so we're not expecting any major maintenance issues. We do stay on top of things. We've been fortunate enough to deal with expensive items out of our operations as we've gone along. Heat and power, so we're looking at that one's probably going to be probably $10,000 increase over 2023. Other things like the insurance, property taxes, and those minor things we're looking at. Basically, we're not looking for any surprises, we're just looking at 2023, estimating 2024, based on 2023. And we are budgeting for a deficit of about $2,500, which we believe we can cover with fundraising. And I'll mention here about this and the fundraising things we do, but we are currently running a Chase the Ace program, which isn't giving us a whole lot so far, but we hope that one's going to heat up. So I'll pass the floor back to Mr. Clark.
So as John kind of touched on before, we run some programs ourselves at the River Valley Community Center. The three big ones that I've been involved with so far since I've got there were our summer camp program. It's really dedicated to providing that low cost but still highly effective program for kids in our area. Like I said in the intro, we had 357 kids come through the program this year, and year after year we do continue to strive to innovate, provide new ideas or opportunities for the kids. Our pickleball, another big year of success. We were able to offer a lot of different times throughout our days, mornings and evenings, which was accessible for people of all ages, skill levels. We had paddles, balls, and so on, and the nets, all part of the facility itself. And then finally, our Learn to Skate program, which launches October 11th. If you're interested, let me know. We'll be running that as well for a 10-week program in the fall, and then depending on the response, looking to do it in the January term as well. We also have an operational side. So what this was derived from was the report done by RC Strategies. I went through the operational kind of plan, implementation actions, kind of highlighted the areas that I see of upcoming necessity. Basically our protocols, looking at creating and maintaining the protocols of our rental and usage of the facility itself. Our signage, just making sure we have the most inclusive and effective visitor information for anyone who's coming to use our facility. Continuing to develop and grow our volunteer base, because a lot of our programming is run on those volunteers. For example, our pickleball, even our Learn to Skate program going involved, we have people that also come and support us there as well. We're looking to enhance our admin services, make it easier for users, groups, me, and our partners to use the facility and have access to everything going on, not just the Facebook itself. And then finally, we're looking to continue to update our summer programming. There's never enough you can kind of look into with partnerships around our community and outside, and just provide that opportunity for the kids, like I said, at low cost and effective way for them to get a chance to spend a summer camp. So I'd just like to wrap up by thanking you all for the time tonight. I look to continue to meet all of you a little bit more and grow in our community. I'm really excited for the opportunity to be here at the River Valley Community Center. I think there's a lot of great things on the horizon, and the town is a huge part of that, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, John. Council, do you have any questions for either Alex or John on the presentation? Council?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a comment. For some reason, this particular summer, I felt that the entire River Valley Community Center and area was much more alive than in previous years. I don't know whether that's because I started playing pickleball there myself, but it just seemed a lot busier and with a lot more activity. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Then I guess that's it. You're good to go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It was great, and I really liked the graphics and the presentation. It was very clear, and when we went through everything, there was a lot of extra information. So thank you very much for that.
Fantastic.
The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Burkey. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. 7C, the Westfield and District Recreation Association Inc. 2024 budget allocation requests. We have Jennifer Doyle here to do the presentation. Welcome, Jennifer. Thank you. It's nice to see you here today.
Thank you. Your Worship, Council, it's a pleasure to be here this evening.
My name is Jennifer Doyle, and I'm the treasurer for the Westfield and District Recreation Association, and we are here tonight to present our budget for 2024, which you all know. But before I do that, I would just like to go through our newsletter to let you know who we are and what we do. I think you have a copy of that.
Yeah, we have it in front of
Just
us
go
on our
ahead.
computers, Jennifer.
So we are a board of 6 members, and the association runs for the benefit of the community. We explore and support community initiatives that will enhance the recreation opportunities open to all who support the objectives of our association. The members of our board are President Debbie Child-Husky, Vice President Lorraine Gibson, Secretary Stacey Doyle, Amber LeBlanc, and Molly Hawks, who is our newest member, and she is also our youth advocate. We have a contract with Santa Fe. And she coordinates our activities and has been doing so for many years. Does a great job. Our lead volunteers are Lee Gigu and Bob Donner, and we also consult with Ray Riddell on a lot of issues as an advisor. So what we do, the association supports and provides swimming lessons in the summer with Santa Nearing for local children. Stephen and Teresa Yeomans have graciously donated their pool for the last 2 years, which has been going very well. We also maintain the outdoor rink located at Four Corners. Exciting news for this year is the opportunity that we have had to work with our neighboring community of Wellsford. I know a lot of you are aware of this project and have even been a part of it. For those of you who are not aware, the Wellsford community is donating the wallboards that go around their rink, and they have been working with us, and they've been delivered to Four Corners. And they help to remove the boards, and a lot of volunteers as well. Many of the boards are reusable, and for the boards that need to be replaced, we are using budgeted money from our association, and I'll talk about this in a little bit more when I go over the budget. We have received permission to install the boards at our rink from Ivan Corbett. He's the director of Rural Districts. So the next steps are to install the boards so it's ready for the season. This has been a great co-community effort that we're all very excited about. So thank you to all the volunteers who helped us to do this so far. I know many of you are in the room tonight. Let me switch it. So we also hold a Winterfest event, which was supported by the town this past year. It was a great event. It's on one of the coldest days of the winter, and we had a really great turnout considering. Thank you to Councillor Berkey for the games that you always provide for us. It was great, and thank you to everyone who came. We are in the process of changing hands from Annie Dunn to continue the nonprofit adult sports groups that are held at Westfield School and River Valley Middle School. The sports are badminton, pickleball, and basketball. Donations are collected to cover insurance and equipment, and leftover funds are donated back to the school in June. We also provide equipment and space for pickleball at the River Valley Community Center is one of the areas where we hold it. Also the tennis courts in Grand Bay, and in the winters it's at the Nearfish Church. We have equipment for archery, and if anyone's interested in starting this program back up again, we'd love to hear. We run the yearly babysitters course for our youth, and our association coordinates the Dirt Road Christmas Parade each year on the Campbell Road Loop, and plans are already underway for this. We also work with the Nature Conservancy of Canada, and many of us from the board are stewards for the Sunset Valley and the Lambside Lone Water Farm as well. And we have had some discussions with the Nature Conservancy of Canada to do some trail building. For now, I think we're going to transfer the money that we usually budget for that to the Ringboard project. I don't think that's what we're doing, sorry. We also maintain the Goose Creek Park and the athletic field at Four Corners, and the residents in the community respectfully use this. We are really fortunate as we have many wonderful volunteers, so before I move on to the budget, I would just like to say thank you from the association to all of you who contribute to the recreation needs of the community. So I'll just move on to the budget now. Very nervous, sorry. So I'd like to discuss the budget in a little bit more detail to help you understand how we spend the money received from the town, that we receive from the town of Grand Bay-Westfield and from the province of New Brunswick. So we request a total amount of $13,200, $7,260 from the town of Grand Bay-Westfield, and the other $5,940 is from the province of New Brunswick. Our expenses include our payment of our contractor, Santa Nearing, $4,400. She receives $2,200 in June and then again in December. Advertising and signage is $680. The last time we printed our newsletter, it was $400, and we've received a quote for the signage at the athletic field. Many of the residents in our community respectfully use the field as a dog park, and we do support this, so we just like to post some signs asking people to scoop up after their pets. Repairs and maintenance is $1,325. This includes the cost of mowing Goose River and the athletic field. We budget $600 a year for this. We've been fortunate. Glenn Hamilton has graciously donated this service for us over the years, so we do have a surplus there that we will also put towards the boards at the rink. This repairs and maintenance budget also is for maintaining the snow blower. Usually around $200 for parts. It's an old snow blower. We maintain the whippersnippers for $25. Gas carts for the snow blower is usually around $200. And maintenance and repairs at the rink, we budget of this total cost $300 of that usually goes toward that. That will get transferred over to the boards project because the boards that were there before will be replaced with the new boards. Insurance is $3,168. Each year we purchase executive liability insurance, and that's to protect the board members. We also purchase commercial property insurance for our members in the community and the special risk insurance. So again, broken down there. The executive liability is $1,232. Commercial property insurance is $1,336, and special risk is $600. Professional fees, it's $500, and this is for our yearly taxes. And again, we have volunteers who do this, so this is also added to our surplus, which will go to the board project. Sports equipments, pickleballs, which is last year it was $100 we used for that. So the rink upgrade, the exciting project, the total cost to upgrade the rink with the donated boards is $10,917. Some of the boards are in need repair. So we have the budget of $1,835 for this, and then we will use the surplus from the previous areas I have mentioned, and we actually have enough to cover it. We've had many donations from years before from people in the community that helped us to do this. Utilities for MB Power, it's $977 a year, that's for the 2 floodlights at the rink, $42 a month. And the church rental and the instructors is for the babysitting course, it's $120, so we usually send a donation, we give a donation to the church and we use gift cards to pay for the instructor for the babysitters course, and our bank service charges are $100 for the year. So that is our budget for 2024, so thank you very much for your time, your patience with my nervousness, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
That was a great presentation. You didn't sound nervous at all.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody, Deputy Mayor?
I just said, I love reading this, and I think it's such an example of doing so much with so little. I think when you read what you've done and what you do, and then you look at your budget, it's kind of amazing, they don't mesh. So it's like the power of volunteers, but yeah, it's and I've been in, like, I guess the other side of Grand Bay for years, but I've used so many of the Westfield District, I've used the Four Corners Rink, I've been to the Winter Fest, and done pickleball sometimes when I've been able to make it, so, and my daughter's done the babysitting course, like it really does reach all of our communities. I just said thank you, you guys do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions or comments from council?
It just sounds so cheap, like $2 a person, just throw in a pot and give it to you, it's for this nice thing you're doing for the community, for sure.
Yeah, good, thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I have a special affinity for the Westfield District Recreation Association because my father was one of the founding members. So, you know, I've been to a lot of the events and, you know, picked up the garbage when he used to have the garbage can over at the Kiwanis Hut on the Air Force.
Yes.
So it's a real grassroots group, and I know everybody works really hard to make it what it is. It's really impressive what you've done so far, and it's a huge benefit to the community. So I want to thank everybody for all the work that you do for the people that live in the area. It's really awesome. Does anybody have any other questions? Councillor Burke?
I just want to comment also that it was a great presentation, and I didn't notice that you were nervous. And also thank you to all the organizers who put a lot of hard work into maintaining the rink and Four Corners, and it's getting used a lot more. The dog park is becoming really popular, and so I just want to say thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And thank you. You were like I said, it's hard standing up there in front of all these people when you're nervous, but you didn't.
Okay, good, thank you.
All right, so the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay Westfield receive and file the information presented. Do I have Councillor Burpee? Thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Bellmans? All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Sure. See you later. See you. Item 7D, the Chamber, St. John Region. We have David Duplessis here with us this evening. Welcome, David. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. First of all, Your Worship, members of the Town Council, and staff of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield, thank you so very much for inviting me here to chat with you this evening and to talk to you a little bit about the Chamber. I'd like to talk to you a bit about the Chamber so you have an idea of what it is we do and how we fit into the community landscape. Now, in order to do that, I'll talk just very briefly about our financial health and the demographics that make up the Chamber. And as part of those demographics, I'll share with you, one of the challenges that many organizations such as ourselves strive to stay relevant and continue to attract younger members, particularly as we move forward. And then finally, I'll chat about our regional focus and what that means as we move forward. So who are we? Well, first and foremost, we are hobbyists. That's our main line of business. And I'll touch more on that in a few moments when I get into some of the files that we talk about. But we need to keep the lights on in order to stay and continue with our lobbying. And we are strong on a number of fronts. First, from a financial, our balance sheet is very, very healthy. Our membership is strong. Our membership is growing. We're in a net new membership as well. We are in a surplus financing position. We haven't been in a deficit financing for 10 years now. So financially, we're very, very healthy. Our brand is strong. Some of you may know that we were formed actually in 1819 as the St. John Board of Trade, but more recently in 2014, we became the St. John Region Chamber of Commerce, which was the partnership between the Kennebecasis Valley Chamber of Commerce, the River Valley Chamber of Commerce, the St. John West Business Association, and the St. John Board of Trade. That brand has been very strong and resonates throughout the entire region now, so we're very, very happy with that. And it has allowed us to become successful from lobbying perspectives. A little bit about our demographics. We've been formerly known as the Old Boy Network, and a lot of people have thought that for a number of years, but over the past 10 years, I would say, that really has changed, so that our number one age group is really 35 to 45 years old, and our second age group is 46 to 55. So that's a real sea change in what we used to be known as. And the next one is really going to surprise you, I believe. Oops, sorry, did I hit the wrong key there? Is our gender identification, in which we're 61% female and 39% male, with a very strong multicultural and diverse mix. The gender identification stats are very much in line with the types of people that are starting new businesses. We have a lot of new businesses that have started. As a matter of fact, we're at about 56 to 57 new companies that have just started with us this year alone. And the majority of those are females. Females are opening businesses faster than ever before, and that is reflected in our gender identification mix. As well, our whole region is becoming very, very culturally diverse, and with a lot of our emphasis on continuing along that line, so we're seeing some movement in that as well. So how do we continue along this line and continue to attract the younger demographic? As I said, that's one of the biggest challenges for the sustainability of any organization is to continue to attract the younger demographic. So how do we do that? First is we engage other organizations whose demographics match our target market. We form partnerships with organizations such as Fusion, Tech Impact, and those are organizations which are specifically targeted to those younger demographics. So we partner with them. We partner with them on events. We partner with them on our guest speakers. We partner with them on our Outstanding Business Awards, and they are actually sponsors of the Chamber of Commerce as well. Next, we have to look at what it is we're offering. Are the types of events that we have and the types of speakers that we have, are they resonating with the younger demographic? And we have to strive to make sure that they continue to meet those priorities and interests and attitudes. And finally, to broaden and energize our value proposition through those events as well. Sorry, I just lost myself. Yeah, I'm very nervous myself. It's interesting. I'm from Grand Bay, but I was more nervous coming home. So our regional focus is very important to us, as we've said before. How do we do this, and how do we maintain a regional focus? That's one of the challenges that a lot of the organizations in our region have. And we believe that regionalization is not a destination. It's a journey, and it's an evolving journey, and it's one that continually changes as we get there. And it's a lens that we have to continually look through. It's a lens like the environment. We have to continue to look at things through the environmental lens. We have to look at things through the cultural and diversity lens as well. And finally, we have to continue to look at things through a regional focus as well. Things that we're doing, such as this update. We've updated other councils as well. This is not my first time updating the Grand Bay Town Councils. We've met with town councils as well throughout the region. And we want to continue continue that dialogue to foster the regionalization. We're starting potential partners forums, again, which could formalize some of these discussions that we have and to continue the narrative along that line. And these will always have an economic emphasis, but with a social component to them as well. What kinds of networking events, what kinds of events do we have from a regional focus, and how do we keep people attracted to come to those? We have a partnership with Envision and Fusion, as I said before, and we will be launching a top 20 under 40 type of initiative as well with the various municipalities and those organizations. So where are we headed? This is really based on our strategic plan summary, and we need to continue to stay financially stable. Our revenue sources are primarily membership and events. We're not a government agency. We don't receive government funding. The only time more recently that we did receive some funding was through the pandemic to help us pivot. We had the COVID testing that we ran. We distributed over 120,000 test kits to the region as well. We helped over 1,200 individual companies. We launched the online information resource center as well throughout the pandemic, and through that launched the day after the pandemic was announced, and we attracted 4,000 to 5,000 different companies every single week went to our online information resource center, and that was where we housed all of the information that businesses and individuals would need to know. Those are the types of things that we were able to do because of government funding, and that's one of really the only times that we receive government funding is for that. Other than that, we're self-sustaining based on our events. Our communications as well, I think it's key that we continue to keep the dialogue open with municipalities like yourselves, with councils, and with the towns themselves. We have to continue internally as well as externally so that people are aware of what we're doing, and events such as this are very, very important for that. But as I mentioned before, advocacy is really the key of what we do. We're lobbyists. We lobby municipal, federal, and provincial governments, and these are just some of the files that we're actively working on. You'll see labor shortage, that's the number one, is to our members, is trying to find staff. They're extremely difficult to find and to keep. So that's the number one issue that we lobby government for is for programs and services that will help to minimize that labor shortage. And connected to that is population growth and immigration. Very active file for us. Taxation and municipal reform. We have written letters on behalf of Grand Bay-Westfield. We've advocated for school. We've advocated as well for changes to some of the funding formulas on behalf of the municipalities. From a taxation standpoint, everything from keeping payroll taxes down to minimizing the business tax rate and keeping that down, as well as eliminating perhaps property taxes if we're lucky. Energy diversity is a key file for us given the region that we're in. And, you know, there's many, whether it's generation or distribution from an energy standpoint, our region is full of most of that. In your backyard, we have the Point Lepreau, which contributes, substantially to the economic viability of not only Grand Bay-Westfield but the surrounding areas as well. We've advocated on behalf of Point Lepreau. We've spoken at various Senate hearings. We've been given intervener status on some of those as well. So we're very active from that point. Now, the one that is a little bit of a change as well, but it's one that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm really happy to see this, is the poverty and homelessness now, and the whole social dynamic is no longer exclusive to, is now inclusive to business, meaning business has to have responsibility, corporate responsibility. So a lot of the advocacy work that we do has to, to help eliminate homelessness and poverty, and that's another one of the lenses that we look through as well. So that's just a very brief synopsis of the 5 top priority areas that we look at from a file perspective.
David, I just got the 2-minute warning, the 1-minute warning. 1-minute warning.
1-minute warning, okay. So finally, the events, we've launched diversity and inclusion modules, and they were sold out, by the way. We had to relaunch those as well, and both sets of those have sold out. Fall keynote speakers, we have Susan Hope, Leader of the Official Opposition. We have Craig Ballesterbrook, Port St. John. That one should be an interesting one, I suspect. Tiff Macklin from the Bank of Canada. We have a full mixer schedule as well, and our Outstanding Business Awards, which will be held in November this year. My 1 minute. Thank you.
Thank Thank you, David, that was really great. The chamber's been a friend of the town, particularly with that advocacy piece. You know, it's important for certain things for us to not just have our voice, but the voice of an organization like the chamber behind us, so that, you know, we stand out louder and taller than we would just on our own. So thank you for that. Council, do you have any questions for David before? But again, I just had a quick question for you. So I was really surprised by the stats of the membership.
Yes.
You know that it's 61%.
61% female,
Female?
34% male.
Yeah, that's.
And that's up again. This last few years, it was about 55, so now it's 61.
Yeah, that's really great. I guess is that reflective of the entrepreneurship piece
Yes.
more than anything else?
Yeah, entrepreneurs, females are becoming entrepreneurs more and more that we're seeing, and that is being reflected in our membership numbers, and as well as not only membership, but also on social media, where we trend, where we're relevant, and what those stats show.
And so are we seeing that kind of diversity reflected in the board structure as well as the membership?
Yes, it is. We're at about, I think we're 50-50 now in terms of females and males in our organization. We have representatives of the different demographics there as well, whether it be multicultural, LGBTQ, all of them are represented now. So.
That's great. Thank you, David. I appreciate you coming home to Grand Bay-Westfield.
See us coming home.
Have a great night. Thank you. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the information presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole, and was that a second by Councillor Burke? That's great. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. 7E, Grand Bay-Westfield Business Association. We have Jeremy Hayward and Jeff Watson here with us today. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, Your Worship Council. Appreciate the time tonight. We won't keep too long here. It's I won't go very long. As I said, my name is Jeremy Hayward, and I'm here beside my colleague Jeff Watson. We're here representing the Grand Bay-Westfield Business Owners Group, kind of apt that we followed David in the chamber because we're somewhat affiliated with them, their organization. Just a little bit about ourselves personally here before we start. My name is Jeremy Hayward. I currently have an IT and business management consulting practice here in Grand Bay. I work partly out of Grand Bay here in my home as a digital independent, and I work at Connection Works in St. John as well. Just a part of my time. My wife and I, Patty and I, spent the last 22 years in Alberta. I owned a business out there, still do. My wife worked for the province of Alberta. But after 22 years, we decided as Westsiders it was time to come home and raise our children closer to our families and to come home to New Brunswick. Grand Bay was the place we decided to call home because of my family ties. Jeff?
Jeff Watson, as Jeremy introduced me. I'm a new realtor. I started just over 2 years ago. That's why my face is always around now. I moved here 7 years ago to Grand Bay when I got posted here in the Army and said I wasn't going back to Hamilton, Ontario. Wasn't going back to the big cities, so I made Grand Bay-Westfield my home and been here for 7 years and plan not to leave.
Yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, as I said, we're here tonight representing the Grand Bay-Westfield Business Owners Group. You know, we want to start a dialogue between the town and our group here in the town, and that's why we're here. Running a local business without a storefront can be tough for some. Our members experience firsthand the challenges of connecting with prospective customers and fellow local enterprises. Existing listings of businesses are often hard to find and incomplete. Even though our community here in Grand Bay-Westfield falls under David's purview, the team of the Greater St. John Chamber of Commerce, we thought it was clear that we didn't have a local voice here for business owners. So those of you probably know Gary Crowley. Gary started this group, and I got involved fairly quickly after. He couldn't be here tonight because he's seeing Billy Joel in New York, I think. I'm not sure exactly. So we wanted to put this group to dedicate ourselves as one local business owner group. You know, a space where we can network, voice our struggles, and share opportunities, and brainstorm together, and link local customers and businesses. So in our quest for that solution, we unearthed the fact that there was a chamber here in River Valley. Gary found out, but it was disbanded some time ago. So we decided to put a group together and start meeting in the spring, and thanks to the town for giving us frontage point for those meetings. They've been very fruitful. You know, along with the needs of our businesses and in line with the economic development outlined in January 22, the town recognized its need to establish those stronger ties with the business community, so we really do appreciate that. Today, I wanted to share with you that since our inception in March, we've had about, 30 members, 31 members today, and a lot more coming as time goes on and we have more events, which is really very encouraging. And you know, I think that the partnerships that we've put together with Vision St. John, we've had conversations with David about events, and we had our first mixer that was co-hosted by the Chamber at the Highlands Pub earlier this summer, so that was very exciting. So we've hit the ground running. We've had 4 group meetings to date. We've established a couple of organization committees that Jeff and I are on, a social media committee. We've had our first mixer, as I mentioned, that the Chamber helped us with in the spring, or in the early summer. So just looking ahead, some of the initiatives we're looking to do are more monthly meetings, some interactive lunch and learns with our group, sessions and dialogues with the town and the Chamber as well. And then just a few of the ways we want to engage, inspire, and empower our local business community. You know, guided by our members, they wanted to foster a more robust business relationships together, stimulate that growth in the town and with for each other, and then emphasize that there are businesses here, that not just for members of the town, but for people from outside of the community to come and share what's here. So what I would like to do, just as you think about the budget here in the next few months, things that maybe we just brainstorm some ideas that may be a good idea. Business growth is a key part of the community, as you know. We feel a local Grand Bay-Westfield led initiative to support new businesses and potentially allocate a percentage of your budget for small to medium business for economic development in your budget. I don't pretend to say how much that would be. Looking at your budget last year, I didn't see any specific line dedicated to economic development, but it could be something that I open up a dialogue with business owners. Maybe, if possible, we could lend a hand to that at some point in the next few months. You know, little things like programs to help with education for business owners around maybe financial planning for their businesses, business planning. We've had some conversations with organizations in St. John that would be willing to bring programs out here. I think it's important that we look at programs that bring people out here. It's hard for people to go into town and do those programs, so it would be nice if we could have some of those things here. You know, entrepreneurial events. I think the fall event is going to be a great buy local event. We plan to bring some of those into that. I think that's great, but more things like that to foster that sort of innovation. Support local events and initiatives. I think it's very important that there's support local events that happen. Maybe cross-pollinate. I'm sure there's some things that have gone on in the past with some more programs like that. Very beneficial. You know, and one of the second things I'd like to bring up is we feel a partnership between the town and local business entities to develop potential co-working spaces here in the community for people that are digitally independent, don't have a place to go. A business hub could foster innovation in the community and could be very highly advantageous to this region. Third thing I was just maybe thinking about was maybe develop maybe a program for small business grants for businesses that potentially start their businesses here in Grand Bay. Are there any programs that go towards initiatives to have businesses come here, maybe tax breaks of some sort, but things of that nature. So these are just a few ideas that we had just brainstorming. Just want to suggest a few things. Want to embark on this journey together. So anything we can do as a business community here to help strengthen the businesses here, not only the ones that are here, but the ones that potentially aren't here. I think we have a really good opportunity in this region, especially this area, because of the location. It hasn't grown as much as the valley, so I think it's got lots of potential, and some of the things that you're putting on your economic development are very, very encouraging. So, thank you for your time tonight. Do you have any questions at all for us?
Well, thank you. I'll open the floor up to council. Councilor Murphy?
Yeah. Is there a fee to join the group?
There is not.
There's no fee.
We're independent right now.
Okay.
We've talked to David a bit about doing more with them. So at some point, if we get some more critical mass and people are interested, we've talked about fees, but right now we're just volunteer that, and of course,
just to touch on that, Jeremy. That was one of the biggest questions we brought because most of the businesses we're dealing with are, out of their house, out of their garage, and they don't want to pay more money than they're actually bringing in, because they don't have the resources to get their name out there. that's sort of how we all came together to try to help grow everybody's business out there. So the whole fee thing was actually a bonus for us getting together. There wasn't a financial obligation, you have to show up, you have to join a group, you have to be this, which is different from the chamber, right? Because it's such a bigger organization. That's sort of where we were going with that.
Yeah, and I think for us, we want to be a little bit more business oriented when it comes to educating businesses on how they can further themselves. But I do think at some point, membership fee structure would be a good idea, especially when you think about the things that we may try to self-fund as well.
Councillor Belton?
Thank you, Your Worship. Jeremy and Jeff, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm encouraged by the growth that you've exhibited in a short period of time and some of the goals and objectives that you've stated. I'm sure that the town will work in partnership with you where we can. I have a question about your current 31 members.
Yeah.
Most of them, I'm assuming, have home-based businesses or many of them work out of their homes.
Most of them do, yeah. Most, I would say.
Yeah, because it's more of the businesses like photography and, wood making and, insurance, real estate, stuff that we don't have brick and mortar business. We have a couple that actually have brick and mortar. So we have Pizza Delight and the Westfield Eatery.
Yes.
And stuff like that, but for the most part, most of our members are just out of their house, way down near this. So.
Okay. I have not seen the latest listing on the town's website for businesses in the region, not just in Grand Bay-Westfield, but a little bit in the periphery as well. I'm wondering if that is something that some of your, or all of your membership would be interested in providing that information, such as.
We have shared the link, and we were informed that there was a big uptick in filling the list, so I did share it on our business group via email and our Facebook, and they did, a lot of them did have their stuff there because they didn't know it existed.
Yes.
So what we're trying to do now is, as we grow, we want to start to do a little more attraction by getting up and talking to businesses. I know for me, when I'm out at any local business, if I meet the owner, I try to talk to them, tell them about who we are, give them some information so to draw more people into the group. Because we want to be able to have that voice and be able to come up with strong ideas. So the more we have in the group, the better we are.
Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Toole, and then Councillor Belton.
When we got kind of a lot of demographics about the town and the first on council, I think we were really shocked about the number of businesses here that you didn't realize because they're kind of hidden behind houses, I love the initiatives and the discussions because we bounce around ideas, but it's great having them come from the actual businesses and the co-worker space and the business hub and the meetings getting together are all fantastic. And I know you mentioned Fall Fest, how we're going to get businesses out there. I think probably Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, who's not here tonight, but we can pass it on. She's our Community Vitality Chair.
Okay.
And having somebody from the business community come to some of those meetings once in a while might be great because you'd be able to pass it around. So I can let her know and she'll reach out to me. But no, this is great. Thank you. I'm learning a lot and really appreciate what you guys are doing.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Belton?
So what is your goal? How many people you like to have? And these you can?
I'd like to have every business in the region. I forget, John told me how many there were. But I was very similar. Like coming here as I'm a business owner in Edmonton. I was vice chair of the Downtown Business Association in Edmonton, been in business most of my life. And I was quite surprised by the amount of businesses here, especially the solo entrepreneurs. But as people like myself are coming back and moving back into the region, we're sort of hiding. I wouldn't say we're hiding, but we're in those places. So I would love to see people come out more and get them out. Like as I said, a business hub would be a great thing to put in place here. And I know there's interest in the city for partnerships as well. So I was telling John this story a little while ago, but I have transitioned my life into being sort of all over the place. So I went and worked at Crystal Beach this summer with my laptop tethered to my phone when my kids were swimming. Right? My wife works independently out of Ottawa. So if you think about if you build something else here that people can come to and come more often, and think about the amount of people that would come out here and spend the day working somewhere, and then they would go to the Pass and Kettle for supper, or they would go to the Westfield store for supper, they would spend their money here in the community. it also benefits the community by promoting the community. So I think the more we can, bring people here, not just to be here on a regular basis, but to be, transiently pass through here, advertise more as on the highway, which is what's here for local businesses. The more things we can do, the more the community will rise as well. So, sorry. All right.
So Jeremy, so our economic development action plan that we adopted, I think, in the first year of our mandate, spoke of the need for a local business group, because the chamber feels that need, for advocacy and more big picture things, but we really needed something that was more local and more grassroots. So really pleased that we've been able to support and facilitate the group the way we have so far, and I'm just thrilled to see that the growth that you have, and I expect this 31 to be 62 next time.
That's our goal, We took a break for the summer.
And when you talk about those co-working spaces, that's spoken of in the economic development action plan too, as being a need in the community, particularly because I think it's what 81% of our businesses, 85% of our businesses are those businesses you spoke of, where people are working out of their homes, out of their cars, at Crystal Beach, etc. So that's an important amenity for us to certainly try and facilitate in the future as well, for all the reasons that you mentioned,
There could be, even, there's a lot of little things you could do to provide activation in spaces for working that's not just inside as well, right? Like I sit, Glenn just pointed at the picnic table for an hour because I can with my laptop, more access to Wi-Fi, places where you can have a little bit of shade for your laptop and obviously for health reasons. So I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit around here. You just drive around, there's so much opportunity for that kind of thing. So I'm encouraged by the fact that we're doing that. So.
Thank you very much. Do we have any more questions or? Thank you again, and next time you have a mixer, make sure that you share that with all of us.
Yes,
that if we are able to, we can attend, we would love to join you.
Absolutely.
And again, thanks for the work you're doing, it is important. I'm in my other job, I'm one of those people who float around, and I have a physical space in town, but I do a lot of my work remotely in all of those different places. So what you're saying resonates with me.
I have a membership at U Station too, because I can anyway, take care.
Thank you very much. Have a great night. So the motions that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield received and filed the information presented. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bailmans, thank you. Do I have a second? Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of September 11th, 2023. The motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of September 11th, 2023 is presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Second? Thank you, Councillor Balcom. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 9, unfinished business. So, thank you very much, Councillor. 9A, Brandon Point Road and Majestic Drive proposed trail. John, can I get you to speak to the motion, please, or to the item?
Yes, Your Worship. This past week, we received a petition with more than 170 names on it regarding the proposed trail. These were in support of it. These were residents who were not immediately in the neighborhood of the proposed trail. So what we're recommending, Your Worship, is just refer to us. You tasked us last meeting to bring a report back to council. To that end, council, I did meet with the group that does trail planning and got an estimate of how much it was going to cost. And it seems like we could squeeze it into the budget this year if council so wants. So anyways, we'll receive this, we'll consider this. There's other information provided as well. And we'll incorporate the relevant information into the report for council, which is to be delivered the last meeting in October.
Okay, thank you, John. Do we have any questions for John on the item? There being none, the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield refer the petition and accompanying information to administration to to inform the report administration is preparing regarding the trail. Can I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Second? Councillor Falcon. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Item 10, bylaws. There being none, we'll move on to item 11, new business recommendations. 11A, 2023 designated highway award. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield award the construction contract for project number 23-6747 NBDTI number 23-D420 to Galbraith Construction Limited as low bidder with a bid of $173,055, including 50% HST. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Second. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. John, can you speak to the item, please?
Yeah, so just before I turn it over to the Works Commissioner, Your Worship and Council, the reason that there's a delay to this work is that it was only recently that DTI released the funding for the project. And from there, I'll turn it over to the Works Commissioner.
Yeah, so what this is I guess, in previous years, there was a plan, the 5-year designated highway plan, in which this is one of our top priorities, is to complete curbing. From the original project began last year, which would have been from Jordan down to Hillendale to do the curb on the east side. Due to the tender costs, there wasn't enough available funding to do the entire job, so it was split into 2 phases. So half was done last year, and this is the second half, which will carry it from where it ended at the golf course down to Hillendale.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
Just one question, Your Worship. The original plan was to go all the way to Valentine Place, is that correct? In the 5-year plan for Route 177?
Yes.
The 5-year plan, and because of the asphalt increase in prices and the increased tender costs, we've reduced the length. Is there any consideration right now in your work plan for the next capital plan on Route 177 to continue that, toward that direction?
The items for, I'll say, the next 4 years is what the Department of Transportation Infrastructure has now, it's referred to the new plan, it's the road ahead.
Yes.
So the road ahead, our next application will be coming before council there at hopefully the next meeting, and then that's where council will pick their priorities as to where they go ahead.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I just have a question, is what was the reason that the funding was delayed in being released?
The reason was given to us.
Okay, it's just listed. Thank you. There are no further questions or comments on the motion. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 11B, Age Friendly Committee New Horizons Project Grant Support. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield support the Age Friendly Committee application for the New Horizons for Seniors Program Community-Based Projects Grant. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. John, can you speak to the item, please?
Before I turn it over to our recreation coordinator, just briefly, Your Worship, this is just basically to ensure that the space that's being used is more versatile and can be used for more purposes. So.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Your Worship. I think that really summarizes well the primary purpose of the grant through New Horizons is to take the space upstairs, which we've newly renamed, and try to make it more community friendly, but the seniors are the primary users, especially during the weekdays. And if we can make the flooring in particular more friendly, a little bit more accessible for possible exercise programs. We've also spoken about 1 and 2 Brundage Point possibly at last minute or through weekly bookings that we might be able to overflow back there. So it makes the space more user friendly. It's currently not, because it is carpeted, not the most inviting to seniors, especially with mess in the collection despite our best efforts to keep it clean. That's just the reality of it. So that's one of the primary uses, and then the other uses would be through supporting seniors to develop more programs. We're starting to see more activity. Our communications director today was putting out a new workshop that the seniors are going to run for watercolor. So they're wanting to use the spaces more, and this grant will help push that forward quicker, and also hopefully support the intergenerational programming that the schools are on board with now. Now we're in the process of recruiting seniors to support that intergenerational programming. Really what we need is within their program guide for this grant, support from council is one of the key pieces of the submission. It's not required, but the guide really encourages having support from primary authority, and in that case, that's the council.
Any questions or comments on the item? There being none from council, I would be pleased, hopefully council will support this motion. Doing anything that will make that space more welcoming and more accessible and more usable for, the users that do use it, primarily seniors, is a good thing. The carpet, as you mentioned, it's you can't keep it as clean, and it does have the dust issue. I know it was a deterrent to some of the art groups that wanted to go in and use the space, because there was concern about, paint getting on the carpet and, not being able to get out. And frankly, from an accessible point of view, if you have a walker or any of those things, the carpet is not easy to get around on. Certainly not as easy as a hardwood floor. So that's I'm glad to see this application come through. And there are no other further questions or comments, so I'll call the question. So all in favor? Consent reminded? Motion is carried. Thank you, and thanks to Rick for all your work on this one. Item 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the September 25th, 2023 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $624,289.75. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bellmans. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Bellmans?
Number 17, 94 transmission. What's that for? Which truck is that?
So that's not transition, that's transportation. Okay. So just quickly, that is one of the town's blue trucks. That's not one of the new white trucks. And the primary repair there is a catalytic converter. The cost of that was over $4,000. Parts for the catalytic converter around it were over $1,000, and the rest was labor, if I recall.
Yes, on that bill for the breakdown, the parts were $6,700, the labor was $1,700, and the tax was $1,300. So the majority of our repairs going forward, there's some other bills in there too, is the majority parts. Price of parts is.
Got two more.
Follow up?
I got two more. 35 headlines and number 49 roadway electric. Is that the same problem or?
No, it was different problems, different companies. I'll let the Works Commissioner speak to those.
Same location, that was the problem that we had at the crosswalk light, the RA5 light at the intersection of River Valley and Colonel Mays. So the first problem, which was the previous, and we put up our safety cone that people could walk all down. So K-Line came in and they were able to move the arm because it moved into the way, so they had to move that back, and we put new brackets on to secure that, and hopefully moving that back over would make it work. It did not. So then a second contractor, Green Roadway, came in, and then they went to the panel and did the electrical work to get it back to work. So same location, two different tasks.
Any further, Councillor Bellmans?
Those last two items were the same ones that I was going to inquire about, so thanks for the clarification.
We have any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, email River Valley Rock, Southern Senior Hockey League. 13B, invitation, bowling and auction, Church of the Resurrection. 13C, letter, Gemtech re-environmental impact assessment, registration, Crane Mountain landfill capacity augmentation and life extension. and consent agenda. The motions of the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield received and filed the consent agenda items for September 25th, 2023. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee, and I think was that a second from Deputy Mayor Toole. Any questions or comments on the motion? I will make a note on item 13C, which is the letter from Gemtech regarding the EIA for the expansion of the Green Mountain landfill. So the EIA has been submitted because the Crane Mountain landfill wants to increase the height of the cells by from 90 meters to 117.5 meters, which is about a 90-foot increase in height. The reason for that is it will extend the life expectancy of the landfill by about 22 years, and it will result in operational and capital savings, a significant amount. However, I would encourage anybody that's watching to register for the Zoom meeting that's being held on October 3rd. You have to register by October the 1st. You can go to the Crane Mountain website, or sort of the Thunder Regional Service Commission website, or the YEAR Facebook page to get the link to sign up for that Zoom meeting. I think there are some things that residents need to be aware of when it comes to this EIA. Currently we're experiencing and have been experiencing a serious problem with the smell of methane from the landfill. So there are two parts of this problem. One was there are wells that are placed in the landfill cells to capture methane, which is then piped to a generator, which then generates electricity. When those initially were put in, they weren't actually meant for electrical generation. This year they have replaced those. So that helps mitigate the issue with the methane smell, but it does not dissipate it significantly. The other issue is that the flare has been down. The flare is one of the mechanisms by which the landfill burns off essentially the excess methane gas. So even with those things in place, the town of Grand Bay-Westfield is being significantly impacted by the stink, to put it less delicately, from the landfill. On Saturday, I smelled it all the way at my house. I smell it regularly. I've been in contact with the Fundy Regional Service Commission fairly regularly to talk about this. So I don't have the confidence at this point that the landfill is able to expand if it currently cannot handle the methane it is emitting at this size. So that's one of the issues I have. Another issue I have with it is that there are no plans that I have seen at this point to account for additional diversions or offsets for the increase in garbage. I don't think it's responsible just to make the landfill bigger and throw more garbage in it without subsequent attendant plans for how are we going to increase the diversions. And I think that needs to be led by the Thunder Regional Service Commission and the Green Mountain part of that. So it would be, I think, very important for the residents of Grand Bay-Westfield to be aware of this EIA, to become engaged, and the ways you can become engaged are, you can find those on the FRSC Facebook page or website. And this is, we in Grand Bay-Westfield experience the negative effects from having the landfill near our municipality. We don't have any of the positive effects via property tax or anything else by having it that close. So we have a real interest in making sure that we have a say in how this goes and when it goes.
Any questions on this?
Go.
Going up, he's all 27 meters and a half meters higher, right? It's be more visible from the highway as we drive by. And is there any way plantation on top of this, or is there any possible down the road putting trees on it or shrubs, or to make it look a little more decent?
Well, there actually are possibilities that other landfills have done that,
Okay.
and the sight lines,
Yeah,
it will be more visible from the highway coming in, but other landfills have implemented something.
That's good enough.
So, but my point was, I really wanna make sure that people are engaged in this virtual public information session that is available. I think everybody got a notice in their mailbox. I'm making it clear now that, you know, if somehow we always throw out the flyers, if you miss that flyer, you know, reach out to me and I will help connect you with the information you need to be connected with, so. Right, so if, there are no other further questions or comments on the consent agenda, do I have, I'll call the question, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you, and let's move on to council reports. And we'll start with Councillor Burpee today.
Okay, so last week was Rail Safety Week, but I just wanted to bring this up again to anybody that might be watching. The trains are very long. On my way here tonight, there was an extremely long train going really slow, and you know, the school has started back, and I think it's good to just bring that to everyone's attention again to stop and look and listen. Also, on September 20th, I attended the RBYC, their open house, which is the youth programs. They were very excited to share with me everything that they were offering this year, which there's some really, really great programs. One is money management, which I thought was brilliant, art, and also they are going to try a youth council. So that was really fun. So I think these programs are so important, and I like to take any opportunity that I can to encourage the youth, because you just never know what little bit of encouragement might make a huge difference in someone's life. And that's all for me.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Dalton?
Thank you, Your Worship. I have not attended any board meetings in the last 2 weeks since the last council meeting, but I do have a PAC meeting and a TD conversation meeting both in scheduled for October. There is an issue I'd like to take a couple of minutes to talk about, if you kind of permit me to do so. At Council's public meeting in August, we approved the development of a non-motorized multi-trail link between Majestic Drive and Brandy Point. At the last council meeting, we had very passionate presentation by members of the local community there. I've been doing some reflecting since then, and quite frankly, I believe we got that one wrong. I'm at fault, I seconded the motion. I don't think council was ready and briefed and had all of the data and the information to even entertain such a motion. So I'm pleased that we did direct staff to go back and develop some guidelines and a path forward and a report for the meeting. And my opinion right now, and my belief is that we press pause on that particular project until we hear back and have more information and can have a process to move us forward. A new recreation plan, master plan, we developed with staff, and it was based on significant community input. And 86% of the respondents felt that parks and trails are a high priority for the town. A further 93% of respondents stated that they currently walk as an outdoor recreation. That's a very high rating, and I think council's on the right track for trying to identify more trails. I know council is actively in discussions with some other organizations and entities for possible access to their land to help us develop more trails, but we don't have very much land as a town. So it's quite difficult to make trails on land that we don't own. I would like to commend Councillor Bailmans for informing council a number of weeks ago that the town actually did own a pathway of land between Majestic and Brandy Point. I was unaware that existed. On a Saturday, I asked Councillor Bailman to show me the land and I walked it with him. I didn't even know that we had sewer pipes underneath. So I thought that was a great opportunity to learn. Where we failed, where I failed, was automatically assuming that the locals, neighbors, would want this. So I know that's going to be part of the report, I'm assuming that staff will give us. But it also begs the question, what other corridors and land does the town have where a small little trail could be used by the locals if they wanted it and if it was done in consultation with them? And maybe there's a way to link all of these little walking trails together. We have to find more trails and develop more trails if we're going to address the recreation master plan. We have 2.5 years left to set out a plan and to hopefully make some more trails. So I look forward to staff's recommendation and most importantly, a process to follow that we can apply consistently at the October meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Toole.
Just a general report. As you were talking about the landfill, I went online to try to find the registration. It took quite a few clicks, so if anybody is looking, it's just a straight email, EIA@gemtech.ca, and that's, you send that link and it automatically sends you back that you'll receive an invitation to the virtual meeting. So I do think it's important for everybody to go. I know when we voiced any concerns about the landfill, they say, well, nobody has told us. So, because we all notice the smell, we all notice it, but if you aren't calling them or telling them, they don't know and they don't have the stats. So I think it's really important that residents of Grand Bay-Westfield be heard. But just it wasn't as easy as going on. You had to do a few clicks in, so don't give up. It is on there. It's just tough to find. So, and I guess the one thing I want to note to people that I did over the past couple of weeks, last week I was able to attend. It was a bit of a presentation done up by our Minister of Public Safety, which was put on for elected officials and some of the other law enforcement officials across the province. He's going to different areas. And it was very interesting about the government's priorities in relation to public safety and addressing something that we hear a lot here is the issue in relation to RCMP response time and things like that. And I can say one of the priorities that was addressed and spoken about by the minister was the fact that there is a commitment to hire more RCMP officers, and this recognition that there's not the same response time in areas serviced by the RCMP as there are areas serviced by municipal forces. So that is identified and looked at. So I know we've had our sergeant here who's addressed council and he's addressing it at the local level, but it's also being addressed at the provincial level. So that was one of the interesting tidbits that came out of that.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bellman.
Been a pretty quiet week, to be honest, like 2 weeks, and just taking phone calls from residents and trying to get things done around the town. And I'm reflecting on your Councillor Balkin there. I appreciate that, what you said, and helping to take into consideration if we do any more future trails in the future, people will give the public more notice ahead and more consultation. Because it's hard 3-4 weeks and people don't understand the process. I still apologize for being what I did wrong or what I did right away. Because all for the better good of other people's town, I try to do the best.
Thank you, Councillor.
Thank you.
So for me, I'll try and keep it brief. I spent a fair amount of time on Federation of Canadian Municipality meetings the last couple of weeks, Committee of the Whole and Board of Director meetings. And the main subject of those meetings were the development of a new municipal growth framework. So now is the time for a truly nationwide conversation about the future growth of municipalities and the tools we need to meet the challenges and I guess the opportunities too that we face. So the current framework is based mostly just on property tax, as we know, so that's outdated and it limits our ability to respond to the expanding set of local responsibilities, not only expected by our residents, but also those downloaded to us by other orders of government. So that was, there's a lot of fulsome conversation about that, what it's going to look like, and also redefining that relationship between the orders of government and what that will look like going on into the future. So that work will be ongoing over the next few years. I guess I attended the United Way kickoff lunch, which was an inspiring event, and their new campaign goal is $1.8 million, which is it's not a stretch goal. They came fairly close to that last year, but it's if you go onto their website or if you feel the need to give and support the United Way, they would be happy to have your contribution. They do a lot of good work in the community and in the region as a whole. They're a very worthy organization. We had Municipality Week last week, so I attended the Municipality Week flag raising. What is Municipality Week, you might ask? And well, municipalities provide the essential services we all need to go about our daily lives, from the roads we drive on, to the parks we go with our children or our dogs, or as Jeremy said earlier today, bring our laptops and do some work in the sewerage systems and snow removal. So Municipality Week was an opportunity to educate people on what we do and to celebrate all we do, and also to thank our incredible staff and volunteers who make it all possible. I'd like to take this time right here to thank our staff. You guys are the ones that make it all work, that make it all possible. So thank you very, very much for all that you do. We really do appreciate it. And we just along with Councillor Berkeley, we marked Rail Safety Week with installing new Look, Listen, Live signage in partnership with NB Southern and Operation Lifesaver. And as we all know, we're getting more and bigger and longer trains, so this is going to be even more critical going forward. So it's nice to see that new signage in place. And I guess one of the last things I did was I attended the Cities of New Brunswick Association opening meeting and reception in Fredericton, which was an opportunity to network with my city colleagues from across the province. And whenever we do that, we develop those relationships because we really are stronger together. It's also an opportunity to spend some time with Minister Savoy, the new Deputy Minister, as well as the Premier. We're always looking to move our priorities forward, so anytime that I can develop those relationships and talk about how amazing the town is and all of the things that we need to move our town forward, it's well worth the time. So that is my brief report, and I want to thank Council also for all the work that you do on behalf of the town and the residents. I really do appreciate it. Item 15, business arising from Committee of the Whole. There being none, we'll move on to item 16, adjournment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 8:37 p.m. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Berkeley. Do I have a second? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you, Council. Thank you, leadership team.